Imagine you are at a social event. Someone walks up to you, smiles, and says in English, "So tell me about yourself."
And suddenly, your mind goes completely blank.
The English you have studied for months, maybe years, just evaporates. Your heart beats faster. You smile nervously.
And the only sentence your brain manages to produce is, "My name is..."
And then you trail off, and the silence feels enormous.
If that has ever happened to you, you are in exactly the right place today.
Because today we are talking about something that secretly affects almost every English learner.
That gap between understanding English and actually being able to speak it in real situations.
And by the end of this episode, you will know exactly why that gap exists.
And more importantly, exactly how to close it.
So let us name the experience clearly first.
Because a lot of learners feel completely alone in this.
And they really should not.
You study English seriously, consistently.
You understand what you read. You follow shows and podcasts.
Your comprehension is genuinely good.
But the moment you need to speak, in a real conversation with a real person, something happens.
A kind of mental lock.
Your brain knows the words are in there, but it cannot access them fast enough.
And in that gap between knowing and producing, you feel panic.
And the panic makes the gap wider.
This is one of the most common and most frustrating experiences in all of language learning.
And it has a name.
The knowing-doing gap.
The distance between passive knowledge and active production.
And understanding why this gap exists is the first step to closing it.
Most people think speaking confidence comes from knowing more vocabulary.
If I just learn 500 more words, I will finally feel ready to speak.
But that is actually not the biggest factor, not even close.
Because vocabulary lives in your head.
And conversation happens in real time, in the real world.
Those are two completely different environments.
Confidence in speaking English mostly comes from something much simpler.
Experience using the language in real situations.
Actual conversations, actual moments of trying and sometimes failing and trying again.
Think about riding a bicycle.
You could read 10 books about balance and momentum and technique.
But the moment you actually get on the bike, you will probably wobble.
Maybe fall, definitely feel uncertain.
And that wobbling moment is not a sign that you failed to learn.
That wobbling moment is the learning.
You cannot learn to ride a bicycle by reading about it.
And you cannot learn to speak English by studying it silently.
At some point, you have to get on the bike.
Your first real conversations might feel slow, awkward, full of long pauses.
You might start a sentence and realize halfway through you are not sure how to finish it.
You might mispronounce something, use the wrong preposition.
All of that is normal. All of that is expected.
All of that is exactly what is supposed to happen.
Because every one of those imperfect moments is building something extremely valuable.
Automaticity.
That stage where your brain begins to produce English without consciously constructing every sentence.
Think about driving a car when you first learned. Checking every mirror. Consciously choosing every gear. Thinking about your hands.
Versus driving today, when most of it just happens.
The skill moved from conscious effort to automatic process.
And that is exactly what happens with language. When you practice enough.
But before we talk about how to get there, let us spend a moment on the biggest obstacle.
The thing that keeps more learners from speaking than any grammar gap or vocabulary limitation ever could.
Overthinking.
That constant internal commentary running in the background of every conversation.
Is this sentence correct? Is my accent understandable? Did I use the right tense?
What if I make a mistake? What if they judge me? What if they laugh?
What if they think I am not intelligent because my English is not perfect?
And here is the painful irony of overthinking.
The more you focus on not making mistakes, the harder it becomes to actually speak.
Because your mental bandwidth is being consumed by self-monitoring and self-criticism, instead of being used for communication.
It is like trying to drive a car while simultaneously watching a video about driving.
Your attention is split, and both activities suffer.
The fear of making mistakes stops more conversations than grammar mistakes ever will.
That is worth saying again, very slowly.
The fear of making mistakes stops more conversations than the actual mistakes themselves.
Because mistakes in real conversation are almost always recoverable.
You say something imperfectly. The other person still understands you.
Or they ask a clarifying question, and you try again.
Nobody ends a friendship because someone used the wrong past tense.
Nobody walks away from a conversation because a preposition was off.
Communication is so much more forgiving than most learners believe.
And once you really understand that, not just intellectually but emotionally, everything shifts.
Think about how children learn language.
They are not careful, they are not strategic, they are not perfectionists.
They make thousands of mistakes, endless grammar errors,
Pronunciation that would make a teacher wince.
words completely invented on the spot when the real word is not available.
And nobody expects them to be perfect.
Nobody withholds conversation from a child because their grammar is developing.
They are just in the language, constantly.
Speaking, listening, responding, playing.
And because they are in it constantly, they improve with remarkable speed.
Now imagine if a child operated the way many adult learners do.
Refusing to speak until every sentence was grammatically correct.
Waiting for perfect confidence before attempting communication.
Most children would still be completely silent.
Because that standard of perfection never arrives.
Not at 5 years old, not at 25, not at any age.
And yet, many adult learners unconsciously create exactly that rule for themselves.
I will speak when my English is good enough.
I will join conversations when I am confident enough.
I will try when I am ready enough.
But good enough never quite arrives.
And ready enough keeps moving forward, just out of reach.
Because you cannot become confident at speaking by waiting to feel confident.
You become confident at speaking by speaking.
The mindset that changes everything, and we have seen this in so many learners, is this.
Speak first, improve later.
Not speak perfectly, not speak impressively, just speak.
Start. Be in the conversation even when it feels messy.
Because every single conversation, even a short, difficult one, teaches you something.
Even if you cannot articulate exactly what you learned, your brain is processing and updating and improving.
Welcome to the FluentJoy podcast, where you improve your English naturally through real conversations about life, work, and personal growth.
I am John, and I am here with Camilla.
If this is resonating with you, subscribe right now. We post every single week and it is completely free.
Now let us get practical.
Because knowing all of this is helpful, but having actual tools is what makes the difference.
One of the most common questions we hear is, okay, but what do I actually say? How do I start?
How do I keep a conversation going when I am nervous?
And the answer is both simple and surprising.
The key is not talking about yourself more skillfully.
The key is asking about the other person.
People are genuinely interested in themselves, their experiences, their opinions, their stories.
And when you invite someone to talk about those things, two things happen at once.
First, they feel good. They feel seen and heard and valued.
which creates warmth and connection immediately.
And second, the pressure shifts away from you.
You are not performing, you are exploring, you are curious.
And curiosity is so much more relaxed than performance.
Some simple questions that work in almost any situation.
What kind of work do you do?
How long have you been living here?
What do you usually enjoy doing outside of work?
These questions seem basic, and they are.
But they are powerful because they invite full answers.
Stories, details, opinions,
And longer answers give you more material to respond to.
more threads to pull on, which keeps the conversation moving naturally.
Another skill that makes conversations feel alive is what we call threading.
Picking up a specific detail from what the other person said and asking about that detail.
For example, if someone mentions they recently traveled somewhere, you could ask, "What was the most unexpected thing about that trip?"
Or if someone says they just started a new job, you could ask, what has surprised you most about it so far?
Notice, these questions do not require complicated grammar.
They require something simpler and more important.
Attention and genuine curiosity.
When someone feels that you are actually listening, not just waiting for your turn, but truly absorbing what they say,
The conversation transforms,
they open up more, they share more honestly.
and the whole exchange feels meaningful rather than transactional.
And when the other person is engaged in sharing freely, the pressure on you to perform decreases dramatically.
The conversation carries itself.
Another incredibly useful tool, especially for moments when you need a second to think, is small reactions.
Brief phrases that show you are engaged, while giving your brain a moment to prepare.
Things like, that makes sense,
Or, interesting, I had not thought about it that way.
or that sounds like a lot to deal with.
Or, I know exactly what you mean.
These small reactions do important work.
They show the other person you are present.
They maintain the flow of conversation.
And they buy you a few crucial seconds to formulate your next thought.
For a language learner operating in real time, those extra seconds can be enormously helpful.
Now let us talk about a specific moment that almost every learner fears.
The moment when you reach for a word and it is simply not there.
You know the concept, you know what you want to say,
But the specific word is not available, and the silence stretches.
This happens to everyone, including native speakers.
But there is a skill that fluent speakers use instinctively, that learners can practice deliberately.
Circumlocution.
Describing an idea using different words, when the exact word is not available.
Instead of stopping the conversation, just describe the concept.
If you cannot remember the word umbrella, say, it is the thing you hold over your head when it rains.
If you cannot remember the word accountant, say the person whose job is to manage money and taxes for a company.
Almost every listener will immediately understand you.
And the conversation continues without interruption.
This skill removes the fear of forgetting vocabulary.
Because you always have a way to express what you mean, even when the perfect word is gone. Another mindset shift, simple but powerful.
Stop measuring conversation success by asking, was my grammar perfect?
Start measuring it by asking, did the other person understand me?
Because that is the real and only measure of communication success.
Not correctness, clarity.
And most of the time, genuinely most of the time, when you ask that question honestly, the answer is yes.
They understood you.
Even when the sentence was not perfect.
Even when you used a simpler word than you wanted to.
Even when you described something instead of naming it precisely.
Communication happened, which means you succeeded.
And internalizing that standard, rather than the perfection standard, does something very specific to your experience of conversation.
It relaxes you.
And relaxation is not just emotionally useful, it is cognitively useful.
Your brain processes language faster when you are relaxed.
Anxiety literally slows down language production.
The mental resources that should be going toward finding words and forming sentences get diverted into managing fear.
Which is why confidence and fluency are not separate things.
Confidence is actually a performance variable.
When you feel safer, your language comes faster and more naturally.
Which creates a positive cycle.
You feel less anxious, so you speak more smoothly.
You speak more smoothly, so you feel less anxious next time.
That cycle is exactly what consistent practice builds. One conversation at a time.
You do not go from nervous beginner to effortless speaker overnight.
But you can go from nervous beginner to slightly less nervous speaker with every single conversation you have.
And those small shifts accumulate.
Week by week, month by month.
Until one day you catch yourself in the middle of a conversation in English. And you realize, I did not even prepare for this. It just happened.
That moment is one of the best feelings in all of language learning.
Because it is proof, real, undeniable proof, that the work is paying off.
Every person who speaks English confidently today had that moment for the first time.
Every single one of them was once exactly where you are right now.
The difference is simply they kept speaking anyway.
Through the awkward pauses, through the forgotten words,
through the imperfect sentences and the conversations that did not go as planned.
They kept speaking, and their confidence grew.
Not because they studied more grammar,
but because they accumulated experience.
And that experience is available to you.
It is waiting in every conversation you choose to have.
A short one with a colleague.
A brief exchange at a coffee shop.
A question you ask instead of staying silent.
A story you tell, even though it takes longer than you would like.
Each of those moments is a deposit.
Into an account of real spoken experience that no textbook can fill for you.
So if you are listening today and speaking English feels difficult and scary and out of reach, we want to say this directly.
That feeling is normal. It is expected.
It is a phase that every learner passes through on the way to fluency.
It is not a sign that you cannot do this.
It is a sign that you are at the beginning of something. Absolutely worth continuing.
Every confident English speaker you have ever heard, every person who makes it look easy and natural, once felt exactly what you are feeling right now.
The difference is simply, they kept going.
One conversation at a time, one attempt at a time.
One small moment of courage at a time.
And eventually, not suddenly, but eventually, the fear was replaced by something so much better.
Real confidence.
Not the imaginary confidence that comes from hoping you will be ready someday.
The real confidence that comes from doing the thing over and over until it became yours.
That is where you are headed.
And we will be here every single week, walking alongside you on that journey.
If today's episode helped you, please subscribe to FluentJoy right now.
Leave us a comment and tell us, what is one speaking situation that makes you nervous and that you are going to try this week anyway?
We read every single comment. We would love to hear from you.
Keep practicing, keep speaking, even when it is imperfect.
Especially when it is imperfect.
See you in the next episode of the FluentJoy podcast.
See you next time, everyone.